I glance at my reflection, adjusting the thin chain resting gently against my collarbone. At 45, I still feel full of energy, still yearn for laughter, surprises, the thrill of being alive. But the face looking back at me in the mirror tells a different story, one etched with quiet yearning and subtle regret. My husband, David, is a decent man. He's always been dependable, consistent, the kind of partner who files the taxes early and never forgets trash day. But somewhere along the line, he started aging faster than I expected. His body, once solid and strong, has grown softer, and his laughter, once contagious, has faded to a gentle chuckle. Now, at 55, he carries the weight of years in the slope of his shoulders and the way he groans when he sinks into his recliner, always with the same news channel murmuring in the background. When we married, I didn't think the 10-year gap would matter much. I never imagined that one day I'd still want to chase city lights while he'd prefer calling it a night by 8:30. That I'd crave last-minute road trips while he'd track his steps with robotic precision. I care about him deeply, but I feel invisible sometimes. Tomorrow, our son is coming home from college for break. Tyler, 19, buzzing with youth and energy. The house has felt too quiet without him. And yet, the last time he came back, I noticed something had shifted. He wasn't the same boy who left a few months prior. His voice had deepened, and the way he looked at me lingered a little longer. His presence in the house stirred something I couldn't quite put my finger on, something that left me slightly off balance. As I prepped dinner that evening, I catch myself humming, a habit I'd unknowingly dropped over the months. The thought of Tyler coming back sparks something deep in me, a tiny flame I try not to acknowledge. I shake it off, brushing flour off my hands, pretending it means nothing. Then I hear it, the soft rumble of luggage wheels against the hardwood floor. My hands are dusted in flour, my apron streaked with bits of dough. I turn around, and there he is, framed in the doorway, a little taller, a little broader. His deep brown eyes scan the room before settling on me. "Mom," he says, his voice low and warm. I smile, wiping my palms on a towel. "Tyler." He crosses the room with a few easy steps and pulls me into a hug, lifting me slightly off the ground like it's effortless. I let out a laugh, swatting him lightly on the arm. "You've gotten stronger," I tease, catching my breath. He chuckles, stepping back. "Been hitting the weights. Gotta stay sharp." Something in the way he says it makes me pause. There's a seriousness beneath the casual words, a subtle weight in his tone. His eyes pass over me, lingering briefly, and suddenly I feel hyper-aware of myself. Had I always noticed his gaze like this? "How was the travel?" I ask, turning my focus back to the dough, trying to appear unbothered. "Long," he says simply, sliding onto a bar stool. "Miss being here." I glance up, surprised. "Really? I figured you were loving campus life." "I am. But I don't know. I miss this place." "Missed you." His words are straightforward, even sweet. But the way he says them, the way his eyes hold mine for that beat too long, makes my hands pause. I laugh softly, brushing it off. "Well, it's good to have you back," I say lightly. "I hope you brought your appetite. I made your favorite." Dinner that night flows easily. Tyler shares stories about his courses, his roommates, the whirlwind of college life. But now and then, I catch him glancing at me. Watching, studying me in a way that's hard to ignore. Later, once David's turned in for the night, I hear movement in the kitchen. I walk in to find Tyler standing by the window, a glass of water in hand, the moonlight outlining his frame as he stares into the backyard. "Couldn't sleep?" I ask, stepping beside him. He shakes his head. "Just too much running through my mind." I nod slowly. "Want to talk about it?" He sighs, then turns to me. "I'm not sure. Lately I just feel like I'm looking at everything through a different lens. Like something in me shifted, but nothing else around me has." I tilt my head, watching him. "That's part of growing up, Tyler. You start to see things for what they really are, not just how you remember them." He studies my face for a moment. Then he murmurs, almost too quiet to catch. "Exactly." A strange stillness stretches between us. The room feels thicker, like the air is holding its breath. I realize how close we're standing, how different he seems from the boy who left. I take a small step back, trying to smile.
You should try to get some rest.
We've got a whole week to reconnect. He nods, but as I turn to leave, I feel his eyes on me, soft but intense, as if they're carrying a thought he isn't ready to say. The next morning, the house feels noticeably different. Brighter. More alive. The routine I'd grown numb to now feels touched by a new kind of energy. Tyler moves through the kitchen with an ease that makes the room feel more vibrant, like something fresh is pulsing through the air. "Morning," he says, his voice husky from sleep, a faint grin playing at his lips. He's leaning against a counter, arms folded, eyes on me with a gaze that slows my steps. I forgot how good the house smells in the morning. I laugh softly, shaking my head as I pour him a steaming cup of coffee. It's just your usual coffee and toast. Nothing fancy. Maybe not, he says, taking the mug from my hands, our fingers brushing ever so briefly. But it's the way you do it. Feels different. I glance over at him, raising an eyebrow. Different in what way? He flashes a smirk. In a good way. Like, better. I chuckle, brushing him off with a wave of my hand. You're such a smooth talker. Not trying to be, he replies. Just telling the truth. It's a simple exchange. Innocent. But something about it lingers. Tyler has always been warm, generous with praise, and quick to crack a joke. But lately, there's a deeper current beneath his words, one I don't quite know how to interpret. As we sit and eat, he leans back casually in his chair, eyes steady on me. So, how's Dad doing? I hesitate for a second too long before answering. He's all right. Tyler tilts his head a bit. Just all right. I let out a slow sigh, stirring the cream into my coffee. You know how he is. Same pattern every day. Work, dinner, TV, bed. He watches me closely. And you? I blink at him. What about me? Are you happy, Mom? His voice is soft, but there's weight behind the words. My mouth opens, but nothing comes out. Am I happy? It's not like I'm sad. David is good to me. We've created a stable life. But is that the same thing? The silence that follows says more than I want it to, and Tyler nods slightly, as if confirming something he already sensed. Didn't think so, he murmurs. I let out a short laugh, shaking my head. When did you become so perceptive? College has a way of changing your perspective. He grins, nudging my hand playfully. You know what I think you need? I raise an eyebrow. Do tell. A fun week. No responsibilities, no thinking about Dad or daily schedules. Just you and me, making this place feel alive again. I smile despite myself. And how exactly do you plan to do that? Games, he announces, leaning forward. Every night, something different. Card games, board games, even video games. You always say I never show you how to play. I laugh. That's because you don't. You just assume I'll lose and walk away victorious. Well, now's your shot to prove me wrong. He winks. You win. I shake my head, but I'm smiling more than I have in days.
All right.
You're on. As the day rolls on, I begin to feel the shift more acutely. The house hums with a new energy. The rooms feel less empty, the air lighter somehow. Tyler's presence has this way of filling every quiet space without overpowering it. He teases me nonstop. As I pass by the kitchen island, he tugs playfully at the loose sleeve of my oversized sweater. You always wear these giant things. You know you don't have to hide under layers, right? You're gorgeous, Mom. I scoff, giving his arm a light smack. I dress for comfort, not for compliments. Yeah, but you could totally do both, he says with a half smile, his eyes briefly holding mine before he sips his coffee. He complains about my music, dramatically groaning when I put on my favorite playlist. You've got to let me fix this. Your taste is stuck in another century. My taste is perfectly fine, thank you. If we're rewinding to the 90s, maybe. He laughs, snatching my phone. I'm making you a new playlist. You don't get a say. He even tags along as I move through my day, offering to help carry laundry, wipe down counters, even organize the pantry. But none of it feels like obligation. It's more like he's looking for reasons to be near me. You do too much by yourself, he says as he takes a laundry basket from my arms. Someone should take care of you for once. And the way he looks at me, there's a depth there. A curiosity. Like he's seeing me not just as his mother, but as a person he's trying to understand. That night, after David turns in, Tyler and I sit on the living room floor, legs crossed, a deck of cards between us. Ready to get beat? He grins as he shuffles the cards with skill. I give him a sly look. Don't get ahead of yourself. We play long into the evening. The house, so often silent, rings with our laughter. Every time I went around, Tyler groans like I've betrayed him, throwing his cards down dramatically. Unbelievable. I set up the perfect play, and you sabotage it. You underestimated me. I reply with a triumphant grin. Clearly, he laughs, leaning back with a shake of his head. You've got layers. The words catch me off guard, sending a small chill down my spine. Maybe it's his tone, or the way his eyes hold mine just a beat longer than they should. I clear my throat. One more hand. He nods. One more. And in that moment, it hits me. For the first time in what feels like years, I feel noticed. Not just as someone's wife, not just as a mother, but as myself. And the realization unsettles me in ways I didn't expect. Tyler leans against the sofa, stretching his legs out across the rug, fingers absently fanning through the cards in his lap. His smile is lazy, easy, but there's something behind it. Something unreadable. Mischievous, maybe. Or contemplative. I shift where I'm sitting, legs tucked beneath me, my palms resting on my knees. The living room is still, wrapped in warmth and low light. The kind of quiet that invites secrets. Okay, Tyler says, setting the deck aside. Let's raise the stakes. I narrow my eyes, suspicious. What kind of stakes? He grins. Let's play for a wish. A wish. I echo, tilting my head. What are we, in a fairy tale? Yeah, he says, leaning forward, his elbows settling on his knees. Whoever wins gets to make the loser do something. I raise a skeptical brow. We talking reasonable requests here? He chuckles. Of course. Nothing over the top. I hesitate, eyeing the sparkle in his eyes. There's something infectious about his excitement. It makes it hard to say no. All right, I say, gathering the cards. You've got yourself a deal. Tyler grins wide. Now we're talking. The moment we begin the next round, I can feel the shift. I'm dialed in, determined. There's no way I'm letting him win. Not with that smug look on his face. I bite down on my lip, studying his moves, trying to outthink his strategy. He's clever. Too clever. But I've got a streak of competitiveness that goes back decades, and I'm not about to be outplayed in my own house. The game drags on, tense and silent at times, both of us locked in a mental tug-of-war. Just when I think I've trapped him, he counters. Just when he looks sure of his win, I pull a surprise move. Finally, after what feels like ages, I lay down my last card and lean back with a triumphant grin. Yes, I exclaim, throwing my hands into the air. Victory is sweet. Tyler groans in mock despair, collapsing backward onto the rug. You've got to be kidding me. Oh, I'm not, I say, arms crossed, clearly relishing the moment. You lost fair and square. And now the wish. Tyler props himself up on his elbows, his grin lazy and amused. All right, champ. What's your demand? I pretend to mull it over, tapping a finger to my chin. Let's see. I could make you take over breakfast duty for the whole week. He snorts. Joke's on you, I make killer pancakes. True, I admit. But I could also make you join me for my early morning walks. He grimaces. Now that's just mean. I smirk. Or I pause, drawing it out just a little. You could give me a massage. His expression shifts, just a flicker, but then he's smiling again, sitting up straighter. A massage, huh? I shrug. My shoulders are always tight. Seems like a reasonable prize. He chuckles, shaking his head. You're more strategic than you let on. I'll take that as a compliment. Tyler rolls his shoulders like he's warming up. All right, turn around then. Let's get this over with. I pause only a second before turning my back to him, adjusting how I sit so he can reach. The mood in the room changes, just slightly. The playful laughter fades into a quieter atmosphere, tinged with something more subdued, more delicate. Tyler places his hands on my shoulders, his touch firm, steady. Wow, he says under his breath. You really are tense. I exhale slowly.
Told you.
His thumbs press into the tight muscles along my neck, working in slow, careful circles. It's the first time in a long while that someone's touched me this way, with focus, with care. I close my eyes, letting myself feel the knots slowly begin to loosen. Feeling better? He asks in a quiet voice. I nod. Surprisingly, yes. You're good at this. Tyler lets out a low laugh. You doubt my talents, but I've got hidden skills. His fingers move lower, tracing over the curve of my shoulders, applying just the right pressure in all the right places. The silence between us returns, not awkward, just thick, like the air itself is aware of something unspoken. After a moment, his voice cuts through the quiet, softer than before. You never really let anyone take care of you, do you? I blink, unsure how to respond. What makes you say that? His hands slow for a beat, then resume their motion. Because I've been watching. You're always doing everything, holding everything together. But when's the last time someone did something just for you? I open my mouth, but the words catch in my throat. Because he's right. It's been so long since I stopped to even ask myself what I needed. I've been so focused on routines, on responsibilities, on making sure everyone else is okay. I forgot what it felt like to be cared for. Tyler trails his fingers down my arms one last time, then pulls his hands away. See, he says, lighter now. This whole week of fun idea is already paying off. I turn to look at him, my smile soft, touched with something I can't quite name.
Yeah.
You were right. He watches me with a quiet intensity for a moment, something unreadable passing through his eyes. Then he leans back on his hands, smirking again. But don't get too smug. I'm winning tomorrow night. I laugh. We'll see. But as I head off to bed later, my shoulders still warm from his touch, I realize something I hadn't expected. For the first time in longer than I can remember, I don't feel like I'm fading into the background.
Tyler sees me.
And that realization, both comforting and unsettling, follows me up the stairs. The next day moves fast, filled with light-hearted teasing, quiet jokes, and the constant back and forth of our easy rhythm. Tyler has brought something home with him, something this house had been missing for a long time. There's movement again. Laughter. That spark of presence that comes when people are really living, not just existing. It's refreshing. And if I'm being honest, it's dangerous. Because I can feel myself growing used to it. As evening falls, we end up once again in the living room, surrounded by the cozy clutter of our night, half-cleared dinner plates, an open deck of cards, a few tossed pillows. The golden light from the corner lamp casts gentle shadows across the room, painting it in warmth. Tyler stretches his arms above his head, letting out a satisfied sigh. His shirt lifts slightly, revealing the lean definition he's earned over the past year away. College has clearly changed him, physically, emotionally. Even the way he carries himself is different. He catches my glance and grins, a spark of mischief in his eyes. See something you like, Mom? I roll my eyes and toss a throw pillow at him. Don't flatter yourself. He laughs, catching it with ease and tossing it back onto the couch. Okay, he says, leaning forward, elbows resting on his knees. I've got a new game in mind for tonight. I raise a curious brow. Oh yeah? What's the game? His grin widens into something sly. 2 truths and a lie. I tilt my head slightly, considering it. We used to play that when you were a kid. Yeah, he says, tapping his fingers rhythmically against his leg. But this time, we're upping the stakes. I fold my arms. Let me guess. Winner calls the shots? Exactly, he replies, smirking. Loser has to do whatever the winner says. I squint at him, skeptical. Sounds like a trap. Tyler shrugs. Only if you lose. I huff a soft laugh, shaking my head. All right, fine. But nothing extreme. Scout's honor, he says, voice laced with amusement. I lift my glass of wine, giving it a slow swirl before taking a sip. Okay then. Who starts?
He gestures toward me.
Ladies first. I roll my eyes but play along. After a moment of thought, I say, all right. 1. I ditched a college lecture once to see a live band. 2. I've never broken a bone. 3. I can't stand horror movies. He leans back, narrowing his eyes as he studies my face. I try to stay unreadable, but he's always been sharp. After a beat, he smirks. You're bluffing. You don't actually hate horror films.
I sigh.
Busted. He grins. Told you, I pay attention. There's something about the way he says it, quiet and sure, that causes my stomach to tighten unexpectedly. Okay, your turn, I say, placing my wine glass on the table. He rubs his hands together thoughtfully.
All right.
1. I got busted sneaking into the campus gym after hours. 2. I had a crush on my math teacher in senior year. 3. I hate anything spicy. I narrow my eyes. Wait a second. You eat spicy food all the time. That last one's the lie. He clicks his tongue.
Wrong.
I really can't stand spicy food. I blink. You've got to be kidding. You eat hot wings and jalapenos like it's nothing. He shrugs. I fake it. I hate the heat, but I do it for the flavor. I groan dramatically.
Ugh, all right.
What's my punishment? Tyler leans in, his smile playful. A massage. I scoff. Seriously? Didn't I just give you one last night? He chuckles. Yeah, but that was then.
This is now.
Fair is fair. I roll my eyes and stretch my neck. All right. Sit still. Tyler shifts around, turning his back to me with a victorious smirk. I place my hands on his shoulders, fingers pressing gently into the muscle. He exhales, letting the tension ease from his posture. Not bad, he says under his breath. I smile slightly. You're tense. Try juggling midterms and part-time shifts. It adds up. I nod, letting my hands move in a slow, deliberate rhythm. The room is warm and still, filled with the soft hum of the heater and the faint creak of the old house settling. After a long pause, his voice cuts through the quiet. I meant what I said earlier.
About what?
His voice is softer now, almost hesitant. About seeing you. I pause for a heartbeat before continuing, pretending the weight of his words doesn't throw me off. I know. His head tilts slightly, but he doesn't turn around. Do you really? I'm not sure what to say. I'm not sure if I even know what he means anymore. So instead, I keep massaging, letting the silence answer for me. Tyler sighs beneath my touch, his shoulders slowly relaxing again. The faint scent of his cologne lingers in the air, mixed with traces of earlier coffee and warm dust from the heater. It's such an ordinary setting, and yet something about the moment feels shifted. We stay like that for a while. No music, no distractions, just the occasional gust of wind brushing against the windows and our quiet, steady breathing. Then, almost in a whisper, he says, I don't want to leave. My hands still briefly. What? He doesn't turn.
School.
I don't want to go back. I frown, leaning slightly to the side, so I can see his face. Tyler, what are you talking about? He exhales, rubbing the back of his neck. Finally, he looks at me. His expression is hard to read, a strange mix of honesty and hesitation. I feel different here, he says, his voice quiet. Like, when I'm on campus, everything feels like a race I didn't sign up for. Classes, deadlines, work shifts. It's nonstop. I wake up already exhausted and fall asleep even more drained. I nod slowly, knowing he's holding back the real reason. And when you're here? He gives me a soft smile, almost shy. I feel like I can breathe again. His words hit somewhere deep, deeper than I expected. And not just because I'm his mother, not just because I care, but because I know exactly what he means. I know it probably sounds insane, Tyler says, dragging his fingers through his hair, clearly unsettled. I should be thrilled about what's ahead, right? Graduating, chasing a career, building something. But when I stepped into this house, it hit me. I haven't felt this grounded in such a long time. Something in his voice stirs a chord deep within me, one I've tried hard not to listen to since he arrived. Before Tyler came back, the house had been hushed, stale almost. But now, there's a pulse again. A rhythm. A warmth I didn't realize I'd missed. You're probably just caught up in the familiarity. I offer, my tone calm though I'm not convinced of my own words. You've been gone for a while. Coming back always makes everything seem softer than it was. Tyler shakes his head slowly. No, that's not that. His eyes meet mine, and I feel the unspoken weight in them. He's not just reminiscing, he's searching. You bring something into this place, he says softly, almost like he's afraid to say it too loud. Something that makes it feel alive again. And I didn't know how much I needed that until now. The space between us hums with an energy neither of us speaks aloud. It's heavy, quiet, and strangely electric. My heartbeat stutters, too loud in my own ears, and I become uncomfortably aware of how Tyler's eyes linger, not just with familiarity, but with something far more complex. I shift, clearing my throat, hoping to pull us back to steadier ground. Tyler, I really do love having you around. More than I probably let on. But you worked so hard to get into college, you can't just walk away from all of that. He leans back a little, a quiet sigh escaping him, but his gaze stays locked on mine. I get it, he says, voice calm but weighted. I'm not saying I'm quitting. It's just, I didn't realize how badly I needed this until I got here. This? I echo, my voice nearly inaudible. He gives a single nod.
Home.
Time with you. My throat tightens. I offer a smile, small, hesitant. I've missed you too, honey. His lips turn upward, but there's something behind his expression that unsettles me. A quiet intensity, an awareness I hadn't seen before. And it makes me pause. Neither of us speaks. We just sit, letting the silence do what words can't. It stretches out, full of everything we aren't saying, everything we probably shouldn't feel. Then, as if the moment took hold of him, he leans in. It's delicate, barely there, the lightest touch against my cheek. A whisper of closeness that vanishes almost as soon as it arrives. But it happened. I know it did. And as I draw back, my breath caught somewhere between shock and something I don't want to name, I see it in his expression. He's not just looking at me. He's seeing me. And suddenly, I'm not sure how to breathe.